Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome back to Soccer PM. This evening, we've got two very special guests. You've read the title of the stream. We're going to be talking Bayer Leverkusen, of course, who have taken the whole world by storm. I think people from all over the world who maybe even never heard of Leverkusen prior to this season are fixated on the Bundesliga. The Premier League has become somewhat mundane. It looks like City are going to win their fourth Premier League title in a row. Before we crack on and before we meet our guests this evening, I'd like to give a shout out to those of you who have joined the Members Club. Remember, if you click the join button below, we're going to be doing member exclusive content. Thank you especially to John from last night. As you can see on screen right there, John's been doing a bit of ground hopping himself. He's been looking around some of the Scottish grounds, former grounds and so on, everything that we love here on Rise Football Paradise. So shout out to John and all those who have signed up to the Members Club. As you can see, we've called it Soft Spot FC. Not quite sure why, but I do have a soft spot for many a club like Leverkusen. So, guys, I think it's time to introduce our guests for this evening. Everybody say hello to Gareth and Joe from the England B Team podcast. Hello,
guys.
Hello. Good evening. How's it going?
You all good?
We're very well, mate. How are you?
Very good.
Good. Can you hear me okay? I've got a microphone down here, but I've got my dog making all kinds of noises. So hopefully you can hear me okay.
Sounds perfect.
Loud and clear, man. Can you hear us okay?
We can hear you perfectly. Perfectly. So just for those watching, which one of you is Gareth and which one of you is Joe?
I'm Gareth.
And Joe. Oh, there we go.
And we have had a little convo off camera. Gareth, can you just explain to me the top you're wearing and the significance to this season?
I'd be delighted to be honest. I was hoping he'd ask any award for the occasion.
He's trying to show off his top.
Yeah.
Flexing.
So this is a limited edition shirt. It's not from the club. It's not from Bayer Leverkusen. It's from the supporters group. So Leverkusen have a umbrella supporters group called the NK12. It's a members club. All the supporters clubs are part of it, and they interact with the club. And they released this special jersey for the game we won the league at against Werder Bremen. And now we're going to be issuing more of them for Berlin and Dublin next week. And the theme for all the fans is for everyone to go in jersey. So they brought these special jerseys out. So it's got the old Bayer logo, the old school one before the current logo came in, and no sponsor but Forza Bayer, which is what our phrase is.
It's a lovely shirt. And Joe,
cool.
What shirt are you repping there, mate?
I'm not 100% sure what year. I think it's 2014-15. Just got very lucky on Vinted. Got it for a super cheap price. And apparently, I shared it on Twitter because I wasn't sure if it was real because there's no sponsor. But apparently, it's like not like a defect, but it's like a factory error. So it's something kind of rare. Oh. Like they don't get released like this. It came from the factory because they don't release them without sponsors. But yeah, it's just I know, it kind of reminds me of like Gonzalo Castro a little bit.
Yeah.
From that era, like the 2014-15.
Yeah.
And
I'm not sure if they do it in Germany, but I've noticed from a bit of ground hopping around Premier League grounds that some clubs do offer the shirts without the sponsorships. I think Bournemouth do it. Obviously, Chelsea did it because they couldn't get a sponsor.
No sponsor.
Yeah. I've seen you in a Chelsea top. Is my mind playing tricks on me?
We're both Chelsea fans.
Chelsea's are
fans. There you go. You know all about that then.
We hoped we could avoid that topic today, to be honest.
So off camera, I was saying as well how I was exploring options with possibly supporting the German team. So it's nice to hear that you do have an English team and a German team. Yeah. And obviously, we're luckily for you, we're not focusing on the English team. We're focusing on Leverkusen, as we seem to do every week at the moment, mate. We did focus last week. I did a bit of a live stream whilst kind of watching the game, and then I had to jump back on because it was crazy as usual. What's it been like as a couple of Leverkusen fans this season? Can you try and summarize it and put it into words?
Yeah, so I think I'm probably maybe the more level-headed when it comes, or the less emotional when it comes to this topic. Like Gareth, Gareth is very heavily invested. But like, I mean, not even speaking from my perspective, but like just being around the fans who have never experienced anything like this, it's just everyone's in disbelief. Like it's and especially with how the season's played out with all the comebacks, like it's like nothing you've seen before in football, let alone in Leverkusen, which is maybe we'll talk about it later, a very small city. And I think the fans won't mind me saying a club with very little like winning history.
Yeah.
So it's just something that's just, yeah, like when you're in the stadium as well, like we don't live in Leverkusen. It's a very small city, so we don't see it on a day-to-day. And we live in Cologne, which is the rival city, so you don't see any Leverkusen stuff here.
No.
But when you're in Leverkusen, especially in the last weeks, like maybe you can touch on it more because I think you've been there more recently.
Yeah, well, like the city is covered in flags. There is murals everywhere. There's spray painted stuff. I think it hasn't quite settled in yet. You know, we have won the league, obviously, and that's sure, and we'll get the trophy on Saturday. But because of the potential of going unbeaten and the potential of a treble, we haven't really let this settle in yet. We haven't really celebrated yet in that sense. So
it's crazy, isn't it? Because the game, I'm referencing the Europa League game. Obviously, when you pulled it back to 2-1, you were through, but it felt like a loss. Everyone was thinking, come on, get a draw.
Man, I was at that game. I was so I always stand in the Nord curve. They have safe standing in the Bundesliga. So the Nord curve is where the ultras and the hardcore fans are. I was standing there when the second goal went in. You could see half the people were celebrating and half the people were just going, come on. And you were standing in absolute disbelief going, you can't keep doing this. It's knocking years off my life supporting this team.
It's crazy.
It feels like there's like a higher power that is just
honestly,
fan.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like once or twice is ridiculous. I don't know how many times. The 12 now this time of the season, I think, or 13 times.
And they've all been in the second half of the season as well.
Yeah,
I can't think of any in the first half of the season. Like
Bayern Munich away in the first half.
True. Yeah.
Well, I think it was on possibly TalkSport. I heard it was something like 20 goals this season after, was it the 85th minute or the... Yeah.
I think it's 13 after the 90th minute, but there's a lot that are still 88 minutes, 89 now.
You never quite know what that means because there's so much added time now. But it's like the game I saw versus Stuttgart. I rang the missus up after and I said, I'm really lucky with picking this game, but I could have picked any Leverkusen game.
Yeah, you really could have. Yeah. Especially in the last few months since we've won the league. We did the same against Dortmund as well. Just getting last minute goals to make sure you keep, because you're only playing for a draw, but it still matters. Yeah.
There is a phrase, isn't there? How was it Alonso that got quoted about it? People focus on winning when you've got to focus on just not losing. I can't. There was a quote somewhere, but it applied massively to.
I'm sure if it's Alonso, I'm sure he said something with lots of wisdom. Yeah, like he knows what he's talking about.
Maybe you heard in the Unbeaten podcast. Sounds the kind of wisdom you get on there.
Well, you mentioned a podcast, guys. Let's give the podcast a little bit of a shout out. There is a link in the description below, guys, if people want to head over as well and subscribe to the YouTube and check out your videos and pods and stuff. What can the people expect if they head over to your England B Team podcast?
Good question. Well, there's two sides to it. So we sort of split the job. So we'll do it.
So I think we describe it as an Englishman and an Irishman talking about football. And really, there's no, of course, we have 50% on Leverkusen, especially before this season, there wasn't really any English language content on Leverkusen. And of course, we both follow the club. And also then the other half is just kind of, I guess you can describe it as we find an interesting research football topic, and we do maybe something historic. I think we did FA Cup songs, for example, and then we'll talk about that.
I saw that.
I love that episode.
It's kind of I guess random football topics, and then we'll kind of dive into them, but also some current stuff as well. We did Premier League predictions, just anything about football. And,
it's sort of eclectic in that sense. I think the social media is also the thing. So Joe's in charge of the social media, and that's where we'll do a lot more in covering the Leverkusen matches, especially the fan day experience. Because we both go to the stadium but at different sections, so we cover different sections from the stadium. We go to a lot of the away games, so I think our social media covers a little bit more on that.
You definitely need to capitalize on Leverkusen because you're going to get an influx of people like me who just want to make Bundesliga focused content.
I mean, it's lovely for us, because again, there is, like Joe said, there's not much English language content. I feel like a lot of people have said for years, Leverkusen is kind of the best kept secret in Germany.
Yeah,
the cat's out of the bag now, but for years it was known as being nobody really goes to Leverkusen, nobody knows much about it, and it was nice for that. Not that I'm complaining about the success at all.
No, but we also try to make sure. The content's focused on, me especially. I'm very new to the club. It's been 2 or 3 years, so we want to make sure that it's about the fans. We don't want to come across as we're jumping onto the glory. We want to we talk about a lot of it from it's an amazing season for these fans who have followed and they're now our friends who have followed the club for countless years.
Since the treble loss,
Well, see, this is the problem because the die-hard Leverkusen fans are going to get an influx of Glory fans. And and speaking personally, we spoke off camera again about me looking for a German club to support. Now, naturally, I fell in love with Leverkusen, but it's bad enough being a Manchester United fan in England. I can't just jump on the hype of being a Leverkusen fan. It would be funny, but they're just so lovable. Like all us English fans have come to watch Kane play for Bayern and finally get a trophy, but we've fallen in love with Leverkusen in the process.
Yeah, that's true. I think a lot of people have done the same thing, but it's so funny to hear people describe Leverkusen as lovable and the bandwagons using terms like that. That's not something we're used to at all.
Yeah,
no. I actually saw, I don't know, sorry, my technical brain isn't great here, but I saw someone comment asking about, the Bayer company and all that kind of stuff. Leverkusen in Germany, we're not the most loved club. We never have been. So to have neutral fans jumping on board with it now is really weird for us.
Yeah.
Because it's just not something. That's the comment. Yeah,
that's the comment you're referencing. Yeah. So thanks, guys, as well. We will get to all your comments, but I mean, Gareth did mention to me off camera as well that Leverkusen aren't necessarily the most liked of German clubs because of their connections with Bayer and stuff. But like a lot of us Brits looking from overseas aren't going to kind of know all this, and it's probably the same for people overseas following Man City and maybe not kind of being aware of them being disliked, in England.
Yeah.
It's a similar sort of thing, isn't it? But that does lead me on to my next question. I have made notes. We've been debating on the channel, guys. It's very hard to make the debate, but we have been debating in terms of surprise, not necessarily the achievement, which was more a surprise, Leicester winning the Premier League, or if Leverkusen were to do an unbeaten treble. What do you guys think?
Sorry, you have to be careful.
Leverkusen.
Mention those things out loud, it's like witchcraft over here. But if Leverkusen did an unbeaten treble, like, come on, like that's
maybe it's a different type of surprise. Maybe but I think going unbeaten and winning 3 trophies is the best achievement you can do. Obscene. Like even if it's the Europa League, like it's still an elite competition, and like going unbeaten it's never been done before. I can't think of when that's been done before.
So I phrased it last time as something like which would be the biggest achievement, when I think realistically 99% of people are going to agree that Leverkusen doing an unbeaten treble is the biggest achievement. I think, again, going back to the kind of overseas thing, I think the way us Brits maybe look at Leverkusen might be different from how Germans would. Like, it's not such a shock to us because we're not watching Bundesliga every week, even though we know Bayern have dominated. Whereas it might be the same for kind of Germans looking at Leicester, maybe. I don't know. This is just an opinion, maybe.
I feel like it's a huge surprise for Germans because, Bayern have dominated because of their financial strength as well. They're so much ahead of the rest of the Bundesliga teams. And then Dortmund are also streets ahead. So if anyone was going to end Bayern's dominance, it would have been Dortmund, we all presumed, or maybe Leipzig with their upcoming thing. Leverkusen were never a team. They have such a reputation here of not winning things that nobody would have dreamed that Leverkusen would have done an unbeaten treble. That was just not even in the thinking of any German.
Remind the people of, obviously, there's the German translation. Is it to Neverkusen? What do they call them in Germany?
Fitzekusen is the German translation. Neverkusen is a good English translation.
And now it's never losing.
Yeah. Well, again, touch wood, we still got
So that leads me on to my next question. Obviously, most people are aware of kind of missing out on the treble in 2002. Ballack almost being a bit of a jinx because it had a knock-on effect to the German national team. Do you think this unbeaten treble will right the wrongs of 2002? Will it make everything better?
Yes.
Yes. All the pain of the last 22 years gone out.
To be honest, I think for most Leverkusen fans, it was just winning the Bundesliga. That was number one. Yeah. That was a priority beyond all priorities. We have won 2 trophies before this season, but it was the German Cup in '93 and the UEFA Cup in '88. So winning the Bundesliga was always the holy grail for Leverkusen fans. If you'd said at the start of the season, we're only getting the Bundesliga and we nick it by a point,
bite your hand off.
Would have killed you for it.
I think, like you said, I think it's almost such a shock that it hasn't actually sunk in with people. Like, I think in 10 years' time, you're going to look back and you can be like, what the hell happened there?
That happened.
Yeah, well, like, to be honest, I was even saying to Joe earlier, like, I'm going to because thankfully, with my work, I'm self-employed as a musician, so I can take time off when I want. I'm going to the game on Saturday to get the trophy. I'm going to Dublin next week for the Europa League final. I'm going to Berlin. I'm thinking in 9 days, this is all going to be over. The craziest season in the history I've ever seen in my life.
And then you can relax.
9 days, I'm going to sit and just chill out for a while. But 9 days, this is all done. And we'll know.
I will get back. Sorry to change the subject one moment. For anyone wondering, Leeds have scored. And talking about teams who are dislikable as Chelsea fans, that's not good. As a United fan, that's not good.
No.
Yes, no one wants.
No one wants to see that.
Yeah, nobody wants to see Leeds score.
No.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys.
Right.
Topic of Bayern. Do you think next season? I know it's going to be hard to say as Leverkusen fans. Do you think they are going to regain control of German football, and we're going to see Bayern with a volume turned up? Do you think Tuchel might even stay? There's talk of that now.
I think it's impossible to say no just because Gareth mentioned their power, but they do seem quite dysfunctional right now.
Yeah.
Like, even if Tuchel stays, like, it's clear that wasn't the plan. Like, and I can't remember which managers they wanted. They wanted
they wanted Xabi first.
Yeah, didn't get him.
They wanted Rangnick as well.
Wanted Rangnick. None of that worked out. But also the squad as well. Like, you've got Gnabry's always injured. Goretzka's not the player he was. Kimmich and Tuchel apparently don't get on.
Thomas Muller.
Their best centre back's Eric Dyer, and he's now joining permanently. No disrespect, but like,
exactly.
It's you can't say no. You can never rule them out because of just how good they are.
How ironic is it that two Spurs players in the team and they're bottling everything? It's
we're aware of the irony. We spoke about it.
To see that.
Yeah, we spoke about it many times.
Yeah, but yeah, you'd expect them to come back, but bring it on. So what?
Yeah.
So, just for those again whose geography with the country of Deutschland. Can you kind of explain as to where Leverkusen, correct me if I'm wrong, is situated somewhere between Cologne and Dusseldorf? Is that right?
Yeah, so it's such a strange thing. I think it's one of the reasons why we assume Leverkusen is bigger than what they are because of the success of the football team. But if you look Leverkusen up on a map, so we're in the North Rhine-Westphalia. Anyone coming over to the Euros this year will be familiar with this. This state in Germany is loads of cities, densely packed in.
And loads of football clubs.
Yeah, exactly. So Cologne and Dusseldorf are very close cities to each other, big rivalries in general as cities, everything they are, from the beer to the football teams, they argue about everything. And right bang in the middle of that, you have the small town of Leverkusen. It's only like 160,000 people.
Yeah.
And it's like, I live in the north of Cologne. It's 4 minutes in the train from here. It's geographically, it's a suburb. Geographically, I have to say that geographically. Culturally, it is not a suburb of Cologne. They would kill me if they heard me saying that, but it is geographically. So it's a small town. It was purely built to house workers from the Bayer factory back in the late 1800s. That's all it's ever been.
Like Bourneville, where Cadbury created...
Exactly, where they make the chocolate. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But to a grander scale and with a really good football club.
There's no good Bourneville FC. No.
And that's why Leverkusen were started then. It's that factory club vibe. So they were purely based as a factory club. Not unlike a lot of the English teams.
If we kind of answer the comment about 50+1, so how do Bayer and Wolfsburg and clubs like that get around the 50+1 rule?
Well, yeah, so the 50+1 rule, I'm assuming most of your listeners are clued up on what that is, but there is a way to get exemption from the 50+1 rule. So
some do it better than others.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. So at the minute, I still think it is only Leverkusen and Wolfsburg that have it. Hoffenheim did have it. So
and Leipzig have it.
Leipzig don't technically have it.
They do, but they have loopholes.
Yeah. Leipzig are the weirdest team. They're the ones that they're clever boys. Not done it all Rasenball sport, but so Leverkusen are not part of the 50+1 rule. To get exemption from it, the official Bundesliga statement is that you have to have secure, financially responsible ownership from one source with the best interests of the club at heart for a period over 20 years to be considered. Then you have to apply for exemption. What happened with Hoffenheim, for example, a very small village, a guy from there got really big into the tech industry, but pumped a club full of money. Yeah. But then now he's stepping back from the ownership role. Because he's not in the ownership role anymore, the club has to go back to 50+1.
Got you. Makes sense.
And Leverkusen are exempt because of their ties to the Bayer factory. They were started as a company club. So because of that, they're exempt. Bayer is still part of the club's heritage. They've had the best interests of the club at heart throughout their ownership period. So we're exempt from it. Wolfsburg are exactly the same way, but they started with Volkswagen as a factory.
And it's like, that's why, because of the history of Leverkusen, that's why they're allowed to have Bayer in their name in the Champions League, for example, and Leipzig aren't. It's like PSV Eindhoven as well.
Yeah,
like Philips.
PSV is another good one. Yeah.
Like it's about the history and.
That's it. There's so many examples of football clubs that were set up just to give the workers something to do. I mean, the whole reason we play, I'm not sure, again, if it's the same in Germany, but in England, they play at 3:00 because half days became a thing on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And people just looking for something to do, maybe cricket clubs looking for something to do in the winter. But more often than not, like Arsenal, again, the new Arsenal kit's been released today. They've got the cannon, the Gunners, the Arsenal, the Woolwich Arsenal or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's ties all over the world, so we get why there might be some. Would you say dislike is a mild term amongst German fans?
No, hatred's a fair term.
But I guess it's only in Germany though. Like there's no reason why an English football fan would be like, oh, you can't have a factory club.
No, and also Germans, like we love that about German football, but Germans are incredibly passionate about the politics and the origins of their football team. They're very protective over their football. And I think they view Bayern and Wolfsburg as threats to it. The more extreme ones would, but the more realistic threats.
More than a threat than Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Like, even though Bayern Munich won 11 in a row, like...
Yeah, and financially have played the game quite carefully, Bayern Munich.
Yeah, but they're still a 50+1 club, and fans would have more problem with Leipzig than Bayern, for example.
Leipzig are the big problem of the league at the moment. Our ultras don't go to Leipzig away.
So that's something that I think a lot of people will agree on. There's so many things that they do better in Germany. There's a few things I think that we do better, but how the fans are so protective of the clubs and wary of outside investment. And I think we have got to the point where the Premier League was thriving, the money was coming in, and it was really good. But I feel like we've gone slightly past perfection in terms of money and good quality players to the point where it's just a toy for very, very rich people. Yep. I don't want to go on the doom and gloom of the Premier League, but it does, again, lead me on to another question. And that is, do you think a lot of British people, English football fans, Premier League fans, are often a little bit dismissive of the Bundesliga, a little bit snobby? I mean, until this season, they would call it the Farmers League because of, obviously, Bayern's domination. Yeah. But I do have a graphic on screen I'm going to put up now. I think it's this one here. So apologies to cut you out there, Gareth, but you can see the Bundesliga is top for average goals scored per game, but there's also a graphic below which shows over the top 5 leagues over 5 years as well, that Bundesliga come out on top for most goals scored per game. So in terms of excitement, I know this season's a good example. Do you think more Brits need to experience some Bundesliga football?
It's an excellent question. Yeah. It's an interesting question as well, because we have a UK fan club with Leverkusen. Actually, we're both members of it. Although, unfortunately, they've closed membership because they've had a bit of demand this year. But big shout out, and they are great. And they have lads that would come over for matches every weekend. A couple of different lads will be over for games. I think there's two types of fans with it. There's the people that actually go to football. They go and support their team. If you're a season ticket holder at a Premier League club, for example, you'll see how badly it stings you in the pocket trying to support a Premier League team. When you come to Germany, people fall in love with it. If you're the kind of fan who watches it just on TV, not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you're the kind of fan that does that, you're obviously going to prefer the Premier League. The coverage is better. The quality of football, to an extent, can be more exciting. I can understand why you would go for the Premier League on TV. But if you're going to the stadium and you want to really get into football culture, it's night and day. Germany's incredible for it.
Also, like I agree with Gareth. I also think there's like arrogance is the word, or ignorance, that not from English people, from Premier League fans, just because they have the best players, just because they have the most money, it means the league's better. And I don't know. I mean, like, look at Chelsea, for example. We have the most money apparently, and
we're shite.
I haven't enjoyed that at all. Like,
well, I didn't actually know you were both Chelsea fans until I was going to bring up my next point, and that's how exactly, as you've mentioned, how just because Premier League teams are spending 100 million or so or less or close to that on players like Mudryk doesn't mean he's a better player than like anyone you can pick out of the Leverkusen team. Like Granit Xhaka, maybe was a little bit disliked in the Arsenal fan base until last season. Absolute workhorse, and I think we saw in which game was it? Was it the Stuttgart game that he wasn't playing in? The team was completely different. So money isn't the answer to all our problems.
Yeah. No, well, like it's also, again, it's the spending that you have as a Bundesliga fan. Like, I can break it down really simply. Like, tickets at Leverkusen start at around 10 to 15 euro for standing areas, and season tickets start at like 290 quid.
I have a season ticket and I pay 250 each half season, so 500 in total. But that was one of the
is that euros or pounds?
Euros, yeah.
Euros, right?
Yeah, and that
that's
again, you got the nice area.
That's one of the more expensive ones because by the time I got one, demand was super high, but it's still really affordable. Like
it is, and like
what's that like? It's like £400 a year, and you're watching the best team in Europe. So.
Yeah, a pint is €4.90.
Yeah,
and also the food in the stadiums in Germany is first of all great and cheap because Leverkusen raised their prices of beer by 20 cents this year. The NK12 wrote a letter to the club. The supporters club wrote a letter to the club complaining about it, saying it's not fair on fans to raise your prices to €4.90 a pint, which you wouldn't get anywhere in London. Never mind the football stadium.
Premier League clubs also even listen to the fan base. Yeah.
No, you have to here because the German fans will protest.
Yeah,
they will. They'll stop going to games. They will throw things on the pitch.
It's like the investment the DFL tried to introduce. Like halfway through the season, then there was protests every game. Like games,
we were protesting.
Yeah, there was games being like delayed, and they scrapped it. Like fans have a voice here, which I think is something really important.
Oh yeah.
I was trying to explain to my elderly next door neighbour whilst we were walking the dogs that it was actually cheaper for me to fly to Germany for 4 days, watch 3 games, do 4 stadium tours or whatever, compared to if over those 4 days I'd gone to the same amount of games and stadium tours in England, it would have cost actually more. Which is crazy, absolutely crazy.
We have a lot of fans saying like, it actually breaks my heart because I do love Premier League football. I really do love it. I just wish it was more affordable. Like I get over to Chelsea once a year, and honestly, between the ticket and even if I was flying from Belfast, where I'm from, it's cheaper flights. Still, the transport around London, the match program, the night in the hotel in London, it's all a fortune to go watch Chelsea.
Yeah. And it's easy for us to say, as a United fan, as a Chelsea fan, we're a bit doom and gloom. But I honestly think that it's got nothing to do with that. Obviously, Man City winning, they've not done it yet, but possibly winning 4 in a row. I think we're getting a little bit of karma here in England. But I do think it's the media that betray the Premier League as being the best, not necessarily the fans, because I think we're often a little bit brainwashed by the media and stuff. Whereas I think a lot of people, your content creators yourself, people who've done like football YouTube and stuff, when they get out there and they experience different football cultures and different games, every person I've spoke to says the same thing. It's meant that their interest in the Premier League has actually dwindled because they've opened their mind to other things. And like you say, when you go to Germany, it's about the fan experience on the day more than the TV show.
Yeah, well, you're a prime example of that, obviously, yourself. You were saying you're trying to get to do more Bundesliga coverage and stuff, and it's a very common story. Content creators are great for that. We talk very often on our podcast about the British media, which as an Irish person, especially, I feel like I can say more than you guys can. And the British media is a disgrace. It's a fucking disgrace. So content creators are much better at doing this. There's some brilliant ones in the UK that are doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you can love the Premier League and criticize it and still love it.
There's like you said at the start, like there's positive and negatives to both. It depends what you want.
Yeah.
But I think I'd argue like I would always be the Premier League my favorite league just because of Chelsea, of course. But I think it's more authentic the football in Germany right now. Like it's but it's would recommend if you want to
try it. Try it. Get over to the game.
Do it. 100%.
That's it. Well put, Joe. Well put. I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to make this a debate between Premier League and Bundesliga. That wasn't my.
That's my Irish just coming out.
But yes, we will be doing more Bundesliga content on the channel, and obviously, if you want Bundesliga content, head over again to the guys' pod, which you can check out afterwards. There is a link in the description.
And by the way, if you yourself haven't chosen your German team yet, you're always welcome in. The water's lovely over this side of Leverkusen.
The plan is to see how next season goes. And if Leverkusen drop off a bit, I think that's my opportunity to pounce.
Then you can come in,
And for anyone watching this isn't a Leverkusen top, by the way. It's a Hereford United top. And if you are German and you're watching this, you'll have no idea who Hereford United were because they went into liquidation in 2014. Play as Hereford FC at the moment, but it's my hometown club. And I'm the perfect example of someone who gets sucked into that media hype and becomes an armchair supporter and supports Manchester United and abandons going to games. So that's also partly why I started the channel, was to get out more and see more football.
It's great.
let's get back to Leverkusen, guys, because I want to hear from both of you, Gareth and Joe. Who would you pick as your Leverkusen player of the season?
Have you picked one?
I've picked one, yeah.
Did you do the UK fan club one as well? Who did you pick?
I put Grimaldo, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was. I don't think there's ever been such a competitive player of the season in a team before.
Really
and
difficult.
I think for me, the three main standouts are Wirtz, Xhaka, and Grimaldo.
Yeah. But like even someone's comment there, like Nathan Tella was someone I genuinely considered giving it to because he doesn't start, but every game he's played, he's been superb. He's been such a role because if you don't have that backup to Frimpong, and backups are such a bad word to use with Nathan Tella, but
alternative.
Yeah, alternative. That's a better word. Yeah. If we wasn't there, we wouldn't be here. He's been part of those last minute goals and coming off the bench and replace people. Every player, genuinely every player has been outstanding.
But I think for me, Grimaldo, like I think he's just has an extra bit of quality as well. Like he fits into the system really well, but his quality is just incredible. Like
we were missing that last year, the left side. So
so that's who I chose. But like I said, it could be
anyone.
It could be anyone.
Gun to my head, I'd pick Florian Wirtz.
Yeah, that's also.
So that also brings me to my next question, because I do feel like, again, I'm not just slagging us Brits off with our ignorance towards German football, but obviously the Euros are going to be in Germany this summer. You guys are based in Germany at the moment. You kind of see and hear what the German people are saying with regards to the tournament. Weirdly, I went to Germany the last time prior to the one I've just been to, all the way back in 2006, right before the World Cup. Now, I found that the hype for, I know it's a World Cup and a Euros, and you could argue that maybe the World Cup is a bit bigger, but I found the hype and the talk leading in to the World Cup in 2006 was met with more excitement amongst the German people than this summer. Maybe I'm wrong. How do you think the people of Germany are feeling about their national team, but about the tournament in general?
Well, they're two different things. The national team, German people have a very strange relationship with their national team.
Like some of my German friends are optimistic, but I think that's also their character.
That's German. That's German through and through. They're never really optimistic about their football team. That's
and I think as well, like it's impossible to compare the English football optimism when it comes to the national team and the German one, because I think we're the complete opposites. Maybe like it's coming home.
Yeah.
And no.
Germans would never sing that.
No.
Germans would never release a song about football coming home.
But as well, I guess if you're keeping it recent, like Germany in tournaments over the last, ever since the 2014 World Cup has been awful. Like, so I think that's even more so why the optimism has probably lessened.
Yeah, and I don't know if that maybe feeds into the general atmosphere here about the tournament.
Yeah,
you're right. Actually, I haven't thought about it much, but there isn't a lot of hype at the minute. Maybe it's because we're in the Leverkusen then, and we're still concentrating on this.
I think there is. That's what I was. Sorry, Joe. Carry on.
No, I was gonna say maybe once June hits, like it will change. But I
think I attributed it to the fact that I was based at the hotel near the Bayer Arena, and I thought, everyone's caught up in Leverkusen, and then I went to like Dortmund, and obviously everyone's excited about the Champions League. Even though I think they were only in the semi-finals at the time. So there was a lot going on in domestic football. But for me, I've said it publicly, not just because of focusing on Bundesliga football and having more German, subscribers and stuff. I've been saying it for months. Everyone laughs at me, but my actual pick for the Euro 2024 is Germany. I think they're going to be massive underdogs, and I honestly think they're going to do it.
Yeah, I said the same as well. Apart from obviously England,
I think the pair of you have lost your minds.
But I think Germany.
Let's be honest, right? Who thought that Italy were going to win the bloody Euros last time?
Okay, fair enough.
Then they were on an unbeaten run, weren't they, at the time?
Yeah.
But no, I think obviously with home advantage as well, that can go either way. It could be too much pressure, or it could push the team. But I think they have some of the most informed players as well. Like,
and that's my reasoning. In they
have
a lot of informed players.
A year ago might not have got in the squad, like Jonathan Tah,
Robert
Andrich, even Wirtz as well. He wasn't a guaranteed starter.
Yeah, it was more like Musiala than Wirtz.
Gnabry, Sane, but and they have obviously Havertz as well is incredible. They probably have the best goalkeeper selection, and they have now Stuttgart as well in the Bundesliga, who are flying. And there's 5 Stuttgart players in the national team, which again a year ago I'm sure wouldn't have happened.
No, not a chance.
And Gareth Southgate, take note. Form is important if you're going to pick your team.
You can't go criticizing Gareth Southgate in front of us. We're pro Southgate here.
So, hey, I'm not a Southgate hater at all. I'm very much straight down the line with Southgate. I respect everything, but obviously the criticism of him regularly picking kind of the same people. I just hope we don't start with Henderson and someone else in the middle. But
even I would admit that one, to be fair.
I just think play the players who are winning week in and week out. Your form players, playing with confidence, and I think Germany will do that. So,
I think Germany will do all right. It's as you said, as I was saying, there is a difference between the attitude towards Germany and the attitude towards the tournament. Because the tournament's a totally different thing. There's a lot of games in this region as well. You know, Cologne's a host city, Dusseldorf's a host city, Gladbach, I think, are one, Dortmund, Schalke. So they're all about this area. Leverkusen aren't, which is small. City's only 30,000, but kind of glad of that, to be honest, because I cannot. After next week, I don't want to go back into that stadium for quite a while. I've had enough of Leverkusen for 1 year, to be totally honest. I need a break from it. But yeah, the overall attitude. I don't know. You were saying about the 2006 World Cup and the atmosphere being different. We weren't here at that time, and I wasn't in Germany at that time. But the only thing I can presume is, because of it being the European Championships, I know there is a lot of nerves generally around the German public about fan behaviour. We live in Cologne. England are playing here.
Yeah.
There is genuine nerve. Like, I know people that run pubs here, they'll not be opening during it because they are very nervous about England fans, especially considering what's happened in the last few World Cups and stuff. So that might
really bad time for Netflix. I don't know if it's can it be seen in Germany? I know Netflix are different across the globe, but in England or in Britain on Netflix, there's a documentary on Wembley for the final.
I saw it yesterday. I put a VPN on. You have to.
I'm quite glad it's not shown in Germany because they would ban us. They would do what they did in Italia '90 and put us on a little island.
Well,
but there was talks of like alcohol ban, like for England fans. But I don't know how. I don't think it's happening because I don't know how they enforce that.
I don't think they'll do that. But it was because you can drink in the street in Germany, and normally they don't have problems with it. But then I did see the British press had warned British people that German beer was a little bit stronger than they might have expected.
Yeah.
Be careful with that.
It is strange because when I was walking around, I wouldn't even have to speak. I wouldn't even have to say anything, and people would know I was English, and they would just speak to me in English. So, trying to keep a low profile, guys. If you are going to the Euros, they will know you're English. Just don't misbehave because
go and give them a good reputation. Go and help out with it.
You can also speak in German as well. You can try and hide it.
Yeah, try and make an effort. I mean, be somewhat respectable, because I have had a lot of people comment, especially when I've worn like England shirts and videos and stuff, being like, being nice about the channel and nice about the German videos, but I must admit I hate England in national tournaments, so it is understandable.
I actually support them in national tournaments, which is weird because I'm an Irish person, so.
Let's not get in a controversy of
Irish politics.
Supporting.
What could go wrong? Now,
is that the royal family you mentioned, or
my grandmother's watching? I can't talk.
Let's swiftly move on. Guys, I don't want to keep you all night. I really appreciate you tuning in. So we will start wrapping things up. Again, I've mentioned about Euro 2024 and stuff, but Leverkusen, again, people are going to visit the ground probably. I mean, I'm not sure if the ground is open for things for Euro 2024. Surely they're going to open maybe the shop and the ground for people to see and capitalize on some of the hype. But if you are going to the Euros, as you said, loads of the host cities, one being Cologne, one being Dusseldorf. I don't think Mönchengladbach, the Borussia Park, is a ground.
Yeah, you're correct. Someone commented that. You're totally right. It's not.
Yeah, but evidence of the rivalry. I do have a friend from Cologne, and he did incorrectly translate Die Fohlen to the Donkeys, which they're not the Donkeys. It's evidence of the rivalry right there.
Yeah.
So, guys, what can people expect? We've covered it a little bit already, but what can people expect from the podcast? Are you going to be covering Euro 2024? Silly question.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Again, I think there'll be a nice mix between. I think the podcast is something that the actual podcast itself, we can stick to more niche topics and really dive into them.
I think we'll do some predictions though before, like, as in not each group, but maybe like, I don't know, once it gets down to the last 16 and the winner and then best players, etc. A bit of a preview for the Euros.
But the social media will be good because, I'm not going to many games. You're going to quite a few as well. And we'll be around the city. You know, we live in the host city, so we'll be covering a lot of that. So the social media will be good for that. We'll do a couple of lives. We'll be, getting people's opinions on it and traveling about a bit, getting the feed for that. So yeah, it's definitely worth checking out for the Euros. We'll be doing a lot of stuff, obviously, at the end of the season on Leverkusen. We've got some big plans for that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're more involved in the fan scene now, so we're hoping to get some interviews and things like that involved. But we're waiting for this to be over because, again, we just do not want to jinx anything at the minute.
Yeah.
So
when
it's
think,
done.
Definitely maybe like for the Euros as well, maybe speak to some fans from different teams.
Yeah.
Like it's very fortunate to live in the center of the football like this summer. Like I mean, there's only like 4 games in Cologne, but it's such a big city. People are going to be there anyway, just as like a base because it's in the middle of a lot of cities.
It's easy to travel,
So yeah, I think we'll
definitely
get some good stuff out.
We're
for
busy
sure.
boys,
Absolutely. I mean, as well, you mentioned obviously where you're based. I've got to say as well, when I went in 2006, I went to Berlin. So obviously the complete other side of Germany. So Hertha not necessarily doing great. Union having quite a bad season. I think they lost in the end to Cologne, didn't they? In the last game week.
They lost 2 last-minute goals.
Yeah. So that's between them and Cologne for who's going to get that last relegation playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's not as much buzz around Eastern German teams. So guys, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I really appreciate you coming on this evening.
Thank you.
Really good fun.
Absolute legends, and we would love to hear from you again in the future. Hopefully, join the Euros or something would be good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
100%.
Are you heading over for the Euros or?
Every time somebody asks me, I die a bit inside because I should be. But obviously, this channel kind of has grown quicker than basically what I'd planned. I've only been going since the start of the season.
Wow.
So everything has been kind of like how do I put it, like spur of the moment and kind of just bumbling my way through content and what to create. So I had no plan to like go over there, and now obviously every ticket is kind of sold and gone. But I'm going to be watching the England games from Box Park at Wembley, where all the beer goes flying.
Nice.
So I'll probably create a video for the first game there.
Nice.
Just to give a because everyone likes to see that image of what English fans do, maybe not those overseas.
But also, even though the football's here, if England do go far, I'm a bit jealous about not being in England. Like it is really good fun. Like when England have a good tournament and you're in the pub gardens, especially if it's nice weather.
Beer gardens and a pint of
so many people covering content really well at the games and stuff, and fair play to them. I think, like you say, it's good to get a different perspective.
100%.
And again, hopefully I don't put off too many German viewers because even though there is historically a bit of a rivalry, I think Germans regard Holland more as a footballing rivalry.
100%. Or France.
There we go. It's all good. Thanks, guys. Absolute pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.
Ladies and gents, check out their pod. I'll catch you later, guys.
Cheerio.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
There we go, ladies and gents. So massive thanks to Gareth and Joe from the England B Team podcast. It's been a privilege chatting to them. Hopefully you've gained a little bit of an insight as to not just from Leverkusen this season, the hype and stuff, but things have been a bit of a roller coaster over the years. We all know about the 2002, how do I put it, failure to win a treble. But I think all that pain from over the years, hopefully this season, it was all worthwhile. Hopefully, I feel so English when I say like Three Lions songs. The song goes, how many years of hurt was it? But it was many a year of hurt. And we always strive for that triumph to make it all worthwhile. And I think it will be worthwhile for Leverkusen fans. So ladies and gents, I'm going to take a little look at some of your comments. I'd like to thank you again because I'm just going to check my phone because when we started the stream, I say we, because this is a community channel, we were very close to 20,000 subscribers. Let's see how far off we are. We are 5 subscribers away from 20,000. So we're on 19,995. So hopefully by the time the day ends, we might surpass 20,000 subscribers. So I'm not saying that I don't know why I'm saying that, but I'm saying it basically to say thank you because, as I said to the boys, this channel was very kind of spur of the moment. I made a little channel about a year ago on some of my 90s nostalgia. I kept getting done for copyrighted content using old clips and stuff. So it pushed me in a different direction to film more modern stuff, go to games, do stadium tours and stuff. So realistically, in its current incarnation, Football Paradise has only been around since the start of the 23-24 season. So to have almost 20,000 subscribers is absolutely mind-blowing, mind-boggling. So yeah, thank you for watching the videos. We are going to be doing more Bundesliga content. And as disappointing as it is not to see any games at the Euros, don't worry, we're going to be back to Germany for pretty much the start of the Bundesliga season, 24-25 season. We're going to probably return again around Christmas time and again towards the end of the season. So at least 3 times we can head over to Germany. As much as I want to come back to the Western side, I do want to check out different clubs, experience different cultures. We mentioned about East Germany being a little bit different from West. So it will be nice to experience all Bundesliga clubs and Bundesliga, Zwei Bundesliga, Bundesliga 2 clubs, because there are some massive clubs sat in Germany's second division. We visited one of them, Schalke. So check out that stadium tour. We had a little look at the Parkstadion as well, their old ground, a ground in which Michael Jackson played as in '88 on his Bad tour. So I'm going to end it there. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if somehow you're watching this and you're not subscribed. And don't forget to check out the Members Club. I'll put it on screen right now. The Members Club, $4.99 a month. And we will be doing exclusive content for members only. 1 video or live stream every single week. And that will kick off around the time the Euros begin. So there we go. Thanks for watching, guys. And I'll see you next week. But this weekend, before I go, actually, this weekend is going to be a busy one, because if you do love your Bundesliga football, we're going to be doing a whopping 2-hour, God forbid, a 2-hour watch along from 2:30 UK time, about 3:30 in the afternoon German time, for the very last game week of the Bundesliga season, as Leverkusen look to be the very first team in Bundesliga history to complete an invincible season, similar to like Arsenal did in the Premier League back then. So a lot on the line. We'll be there. We'll be live for 2 hours. The missus is out, basically. She's at a hen do. So I need something to do. But on the Sunday is the final Premier League game week. And we're going to be outside the Etihad covering what hopefully will be a spicy last game of the Premier League season. They're not going to bottle it, are they? So there we go. Lots coming up. And I'll see you in one of those streams or videos. Have a good evening, guys.